All right, this is a significant update on Brandon Aiyuk and his potential return to the 49ers this year. Kyle Shanahan in his conference call Monday actually put out a date. Now, it's not the official target date. That's a different thing that's going to be determined by the physical metrics that Brandon Aiyuk hits. They call those the markers in his rehab from this severe knee injury. But Kyle Shanahan tossed out week 10 as this general idea of when the 49ers coaching staff is expecting Brandon Aiyuk to return. Just finished week 6. 49ers play the Falcons. We saw them beat the Bills last night on Sunday Night Football. That's going to be a showdown on Sunday night. Then they head to Houston. Then they head to New York. And then the Rams are coming to town for week 10. Is there a chance that Brandon Aiyuk is back for the 49ers Rams game? At the very least, the 49ers are thinking of Aiyuk returning before the bye, which is later than ever, historically late. Week 14 for the 49ers. I think that there had been some speculation, and this is all outside speculation. It wasn't based in any sort of fact. And there's a lot of Brandon Aiyuk reporting right now that's not based in fact. But there had been some speculation that he wouldn't be back until December, until after the bye. The bottom line here is that he tore up more than the ACL in his knee. This was a truly severe knee injury, and you can't put the normal ACL timeline on it. The way that I look at it, anything that the 49ers get from Brandon Aiyuk this year is house money. But the chance now that they can get him sooner rather than later, but like around week 10, mid-season, as opposed to just the stretch run, I think is a big, big potential positive for the 49ers. One thing that's been missing the most from San Francisco this year is perimeter blocking. This run game is ranked near the bottom of the league, averaging just over 3 yards per carry. And if you watch the tape, they're obviously missing George Kittle. He's a leverage piece for the line of scrimmage. But one thing that he does really well is block on the perimeter. He's got movement ability and he can get out to the edges. The receivers, though, in this system, and that includes George Kittle as a tight end, but the wideouts also have to be able to block. Kyle Shanahan runs an outside zone, so he tries to use the entire width of the field. And if the wideouts aren't effectively blocking, and this has been an issue, was an issue again in Tampa Bay, the 49ers are not going to run as efficiently as they need to run. In fact, the only wide receiver who ranked above 70 in Pro Football Focus grade when it came to run blocking in Tampa was Jawan Jennings. And Jawan didn't have a great game. Jawan had it was on a pass play, but it was an offensive pass interference play. It was a swing pass out to McCaffrey, and he just leveled the defensive back. Can't have that. Had a false start a little bit before, but he's still scoring better than Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson. Well, here's Brandon Aiyuk, excellent run blocker. When we've talked so much about some of the just absolutely manly blocks he's had, we talked the most about 19 structure fool in Pittsburgh, week 1 of the 2023 season. 49ers could really use Brandon out there for his blocking ability. Even if he doesn't have the same explosiveness as he did before this knee injury, I would think that Brandon Aiyuk still has the same mentality, the same blocking ability that he did before, because he's gonna be strong. You'd think that he's gonna be physically strong after his rehab. I think that the explosion, it might be something that doesn't come until 2026. Although I am just completely speculating on that part. I am not a trainer. I'm not a doctor. I just look at different recoveries from serious knee injuries, and I note that sometimes it does take a little bit of time to get that explosiveness. But from a technique standpoint, from a mentality standpoint, a willingness standpoint, you might think that Brandon Aiyuk is hungry to get out there and silence the doubters and maybe lay a few good blocks and do what the 49ers need him to within the context of their system. And I think that can really, really help the run game. And that leads me to the next thing before I play you the Kyle Shanahan audio from the conference call following the loss to Tampa. 49ers interior offensive line has really been struggling. I mean, you take receiver blocking problems and you mix them with interior offensive line problems. It's not a good combination for the run game because things are getting blown up in the middle, and then they're not getting the perimeter. The only two linemen who have been playing consistently good football for the 49ers are the tackles, are Trent Williams and Colton McKivitz. Now, in a way, that's good news, because in a way, you look at that and you say, okay, well, tackle's the hardest position on the offensive line to get plus physical play from, because the demands for tackle are the most stringent. They're having to cover the most space. you typically can find replacement level guard play in a much less expensive fashion. You can find tackle play, but it doesn't negate the need for good guard play, and the 49ers aren't getting that. Dominic Pooney, in terms of Pro Football Focus grade last year and percentile score, was 89th percentile as a rookie in 2024. He has dropped down to 24th percentile here as a sophomore in 2025. So he's better than 89% of linemen last year, better than only 24% of linemen in terms of grade this year. Kyle Shanahan, as you'll hear on the call, acknowledged that Pooney has not been nearly as good as last year. He says that the knee injury in week 2 of the preseason against the Raiders is something that set Dominic Pooney back. They're confident that Pooney is going to get back to his level of play. But if you watch the tape from the Tampa game, it wasn't good. Now, that might have been the biggest challenge the 49ers interior line is going to face this year. Vita Vea, he literally is the biggest challenge at 347 pounds. But the way that he was splitting Pooney and Brendel, not good. The Brendel's blocking in space, not good in this game. Brendel, it actually has been a mixed bag for Jake Brendel this year. And he does have the cerebral responsibility of calling everything out. That's a very, very tough job in Kyle Shanahan's system. But boy, it's Richard Sherman was upset about it. It was the screen pass to Christian McCaffrey. He couldn't keep Levante David blocked. Like, you've got to finish blocks on screens, or at least hold them long enough for something to happen downfield. If you can't block for Christian McCaffrey in space, you can't really block for anybody in space. And then Connor Colby at left guard. I mean, he's been thrust into action. Not really fair to him. He's a rookie 7th round pick. Has not scored well, that's for sure. 49ers probably won't get Ben Barch this week back, but they'll hope for Ben Barch the week after against the Houston Texans coming off the high ankle sprain. That's really, really needed for this offensive line. You need to get that veteran Barch back in there. Maybe that helps Jake Brendel look a little bit better. But the one variable that the 49ers didn't count on was a true regression from Dominic Pooney. And you can't have bad guard play at both guard spots. You can fix one of the guard spots with Barch's return. You can fix another one with Pooney's return. Let Brendel handle the cerebral stuff, calling out the safety rotation, setting the protections, do all that. Tackle's already playing well. Get the wideouts back. Get George Kittle back. And boom, all of a sudden the 49ers can potentially field an elite offense, which I think they might have to do, given the fact that the defense is where it's at. If you want to trade video about the defense, I know I did one yesterday, but I think we need to talk about that more. Important for the 49ers, even if a Super Bowl this season is not something that's very likely for them to attain. You never know once you make the tournament. But even if that's something that may be out of their realistic reach, at least as we talk about odds right now, they cannot let the bottom fall out of this defense. And they should also, as you'll hear Kyle say right now, be interested in any maneuvers that can make them better, not only for 2025, but also 2026. It's no rental mode for the 49ers. You want to add players who can make you better now and into 2026. And I think when you talk about trying to be better for 2026, to help these youngsters out, they've lost their shepherds and Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. So to help them out, maybe you're able to find veteran players who are under contract for at least this season and next, who can turn into at least leaders who are evocative of some of the foundational pillars that the 49ers made sure to have on their roster earlier this year. I look at Quincy Williams. I know other people are talking about Demario Davis. I think that somebody with Robert Saleh connections would probably be best for the 49ers, but it all is worth talking about. Anyway, Kyle asked about some of this stuff and more. Here is his conference call.
All right, guys. The injuries from yesterday, Fred Warner did have fractured, dislocated ankle. His surgery set for tomorrow. Nothing else from the game right now. Updates on players who missed the game. We got Jordan Watkins with his calf. Expected to get him back in practice this week. Ricky with his knee. Still evaluating it, whether he can come back this week. We'll have to see him on Wednesday. Brock Purdy, similar with his toe. Hopefully he can get back in and do a little bit more this week. Yetur with his hamstring will have to continue to rehab. And our IR guys, Kevin Givens, will continue to practice, and expecting to get George Kittle back into practice this week. Go ahead.
Kyle, do you have an approximate time frame on how long it'll take Fred to get back on the field?
No, I don't. No.
are you confident that, or do you know that training camp for next year is a likelihood or possibility?
Yeah, I would think it'd be strongly. I think usually things like this are around 3 months. But I haven't asked all the questions you guys are asking me yet. But I assume it'll be good for the off-season workouts and stuff like that.
Kyle, when you weigh a 4-2 start and 3 wins in the division against kind of the shock and disappointment of what happened yesterday with Fred, how difficult is it to get your team to refocus on that 4-2 record and where you are?
I don't really try to get us to focus on anything from what the past. It's about what's happening going forward. And the reality is we lost another really good player. But what are we going to do about it? And there's lots of stuff I can show our guys and stuff from the tape that's very encouraging. Of some real good things Tatum did when he went in and replaced him. We got a lot of young guys doing some real good things on defense. But what type of team are we going to become going forward? And I think we have players here we can win with. But it makes it harder to make mistakes and things like that. And I thought that was something we did too much of yesterday. And those are the things I'm really focused on now about if we want to make something out of our record going forward of what we've already accomplished with that 4-2. Guys got to keep getting better. We got to put pressure on some veterans to play the best that they can. And these rookies who I believe are coming along need to put the pressure on themselves to clean up the mistakes.
Hey, Kyle.
They're only 10
on the defensive bust in the second quarter that led to the 34-yard touchdown. The announcers suggested that the TV announcers suggested that could have been related to Fred Warner's absence. That he would have normally been the guy kind of straightening things out pre-snap. Is that the case? And what exactly happened on that bust?
Yeah, I think it's fair on that one. You have a change of strength motion and someone's peeling for a back, and it's a real tough one. A bunch of different things to go through it, but something like Tatum had a lot on his plate. He came in and I thought did a lot of good things getting us lined up, but I think that's something he'll be a lot more ready for next week, getting all the reps and things like that. No one can be as good as Fred at those type of things, but that's something I expect Tatum to be able to handle in the future.
Kyle, on the play that
they were only 10.
Why wasn't there anybody at right defensive end?
Because he was on special teams. We thought he was out there, and he came off the field. We didn't realize it till the snap, and needed 11 out there. Would have called a timeout if I saw it, but I didn't, and it was an unfortunate mistake.
Who was the player that was on special teams that should have been out on the field?
It doesn't matter, but we should have had another D end out there.
Are we still in the same situation in regards to Brandon Aiyuk making his way back? Still no time frame at all?
Yeah, no time frame. I always look around that week 10 thing, but we're not putting an exact date on it. I know he's rehabbing real hard and put together a few good weeks here, and hopefully he's getting closer and closer, which I believe he is. But no, we're not giving an exact date on it.
Coach, after the game, Diomedor Lenore kind of spoke about the fact that, it's on me now, being that he now is one of the few captains kind of healthy now, especially on the defense. Just wondering if that, garners having extra conversation with Diomedor Lenore, especially with kind of what Matt just asked as far as like being able to kind of direct his teammates, like that kind of falls on you, or is there no added responsibility to the captain that Diomedor is this year without Bosa and Fred Warner?
When it comes to that stuff, a Mike linebacker directs the traffic just like a center or quarterback does on offense, so that's more position-based. You don't have the corners making the calls and everything for your front and strengths and where the pressures come from. But I like Demo talking that way. Guys who have been here and guys who have played at a higher level, we need them playing their best at all times, especially in a situation like this. But it also means that doesn't mean that guys just start making stuff up and doing stuff that they don't have to do. But there is, Demo's been one of our better players here over the last few years, and I love that he's basically, in my opinion, saying he needs to play that way every week now, going forward more than ever.
Kyle, how often is it that a player who had an injury like Fred did addresses the team after the game like he did?
I'd say not a ton. I've seen guys do it before. It's not something you ever ask a guy to do or anything like that. You never know where guys are with injuries and stuff. Sometimes they can't even function at that point, depending on when it happened in the game. But it was cool to have Fred come out and do that, asked to do it, and he was in a good place. I mean, guys are hurting for him big time. Fred's not only is impressive of a football player I've ever been around, but as impressive of a human as I've ever been around. And the foundation and base he has just as a man and how he lives his life. I mean, you guys read his quotes and stuff and how he's looking at this, and that's as real as can be when you hear how he speaks. And that's why we know he'll come back next year stronger than ever.
John was talking last week about, he was being pretty aggressive about trying to find a pass kind of filled the void left by Bosa. With Fred out for the season, does it make you guys less inclined to maybe be, active buyers at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we were being that aggressive. I mean, we're looking for things that make sense for our team right now and in the future. Not having Fred makes that harder, but it's, I don't see a big difference between Sunday before that game started and today. It definitely hurts losing a guy like Fred, but in terms of people who are available that can improve our team for this year and next year, I don't see the situation that much different.
What led to Pinnock being a guy that played every single snap for every game and then nothing yesterday and just 2 special team snaps?
He was the starting safety for the first 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and we thought Jair Brown had been earning some time at safety, and we knew with Mustafa coming back, we were going to start rotating and getting Mustafa in there so he can eventually take that over. We know Mustafa is going to be one of the starters out there, and it was nothing against Jason. We just knew we had to make a decision to rotate one of those guys with Mustafa, and we went with rotating Mustafa and Siegel, which gave really kind of that week to give Tig his opportunity to play a whole game at safety. The other 2 had gotten it the previous 5 weeks, and we thought Tig deserved it. And without Pinnock, we get in some big nickel roles, just like Tig had in the previous 3 weeks. Just big nickel didn't become a factor in that game the way it played out.
What did you see from Mustafa in this game, and do you think he'll be ready for the full-time role this coming week?
Yeah, I'll probably more about talking to him and how his body felt, really how it feels kind of today and tomorrow, how he does in practice this week. But I think he got about 20 plays, and he looked good, moved around, flew around. He was ready for that moment, and I like that we were able to get him in there, do all that stuff, and get him out healthy, and hopefully he'll be closer to that this week.
Dominic, what do you do with that other safety spot, Kyle? Is it kind of a week-to-week thing? Who would start alongside Mustafa?
I mean, I think we got 3 guys who are capable there, and those are what all those 3 guys are battling for. I don't think one guy is fully taken it and run with it, like Mustafa did last year. So that's something that we're going to continue to evaluate. But I don't think any of that's set in stone. We're trying to hope that they make that decision for us.
Dominic,
how would you assess, following up on that, how would you assess Jair Brown's performance yesterday?
I thought he did a decent job. I thought he was physical. I thought he made some plays. Not too many mistakes. I thought Tig was solid.
Dominic, Pooney seems to be struggling. Is he still feeling the effects of his preseason injury, or what are you seeing from Pooney?
Yeah, I think Dom has played better before, in his rookie year. I think there was a big injury coming into this season, which was a huge setback for him and has made things more difficult. I'm sure that hasn't made things easier for him, but a lot of guys are battling stuff, and I got a lot of confidence in Dom. He's played at a high level for us before, so I expect him to do it again.
Kyle,
is the timetable for Connor Colby to come back, open the practice window for him this week, and along with that, the assessment of Connor Colby at left guard?
Yeah, Barch, and I didn't get anything for this week, so I'm not assuming this week. Hopefully the next couple of weeks. Sorry, what was how Connor do?
Yes.
I think Connor's getting a lot of experience. He's playing, which was going to really help him in the future. I think, nothing's perfect. I think he's got a number of good plays and a number of plays he'd like to take back. But I think this is a moment in his career that is going to help him going forward and not hurt him.
Kyle, you addressed it. sideline stuff with Juwan after the game, but he then told us, he detailed his injuries, said he had 5 broken ribs, a high ankle sprain, low ankle sprain. Obviously, it's unusual for a player to do that. Are you okay with that? And is Juwan, do you feel like in a good mental space at the moment?
Yeah, I think Juwan's in a good mental space. I think, Juwan's a very emotional player. I think that's one of the things that makes him great. So anytime we have a tough loss like that he is banged up and playing through a lot of stuff, I don't think he's in the best mood, especially after a loss like that. But Juwan is good. Juwan battled completely to come play in that game. I know he'll battle again to do it this week. But got a lot of love for Juwan, and I just hope he can get healthier so he can get back out there and be more consistent for us.
When you said you guys were good, had you, by the time the game was over in the locker room, had you talked to him to clear the air?
No.
Okay. You guys didn't look good. You guys didn't look like you were good in the second quarter. Is it just like that's how you and Juwan roll, or like?
No, I think when you're in an intense football game and stuff, that two people who know each other pretty well and are pretty competitive about it, things can have really, really intense conversations that don't always come off as a normal conversation, just hanging out, after a press conference with you. But it's stuff that you don't need to make too many assumptions about because it wasn't anything that big of a deal. Yeah, we were aggressive and intense in our conversations, but I think conversations like that can also lead to making people closer and leading to a better outcome for people.
And then with Kittle, is the the hope or expectation that he can play Sunday since he's returning to practice?
Yes, that's the hope.
Gotcha.